I want to welcome everybody. I don't even know what you want to call it. Special edition of the Daily Cheat Sheet.
Yeah, it's hard to qualify this with a clever title.
No, but there is no clever title.
We're coming on here to bring you, obviously news is not the right word for it. We're not a news show, and most of you who are listening to this will have already heard. We're here to talk about what just happened, tragic events that just happened today, tragic and senseless and violent and vile events that happened today with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm still numb, Judah, so I'm trying to think of something to say, and I kind of just feel like crying, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I met Charlie at the Republican Jewish Council with Ben Stein, I want to say about 8 years ago. So I guess he was 23 at the time. And this was when, after Kanye had come to the White House, and he came to the Republican Jewish Council committee, whatever you call it, in his sneakers that Kanye gave him. And the guy was so infectious, and he met Ben Stein. And he couldn't have been more excited to meet Ben Stein. When I heard about this, I first, before he sadly passed away, I had a dentist appointment, and while I was getting my teeth work done, I was under a little bit of anesthesia, let's just say, and all I could think about was that last kiss he had of the day, the last hug he had of the day, because we know how close he was with his family,
Yeah, absolutely.
and the last, I just couldn't help but thinking it's all those lasts for somebody that was 31 years old, that did nothing in his life but try to bring people together. That was it. He truly believed debate was the essence of America, and he was assassinated because debate is no longer the essence of America. And he was killed because of his religious beliefs, his spiritual beliefs, and of course his political beliefs.
Yeah,
And
and the interesting thing about all that is his his political beliefs. People use these words now as if they're weapons. This was political violence, and his political beliefs, and ultimately his political beliefs were about fundamental decency. He was pro-human in the most basic sense. He actually believed in people and in conversation, and that people were persuadable through respect and dialogue. He didn't see, not just, I was going to say Americans, but I think people in general, as locked into permanent tribes, which is very much the opposite of what we hear a lot of the time. You're defined by whatever category you fit into. He didn't see people that way, not by age and not by demographic. He had conversations with everybody. He was deeply, deeply committed to conversation. And you can look at all, there's luckily thousands of hours of video of him showing up and simply engaging, and to his own peril, as it turned out, not hiding behind safe spaces, willing to speak to people who disagreed with him, in fact, thriving on that disagreement because it meant people had to face true conversation. And it was something that I think he inspired in others, that concept of let's talk, and let's not talk in order to own somebody. Let's just talk and learn. And I think it's, as you said, it's what America was built on, and what a lot of people have forgotten about how democracy is supposed to work. And he exemplified it to the highest degree.
no, he did. He was an old school. He was an old soul. And when I was listening to people talk about him, I couldn't help but think of the difference. He was old school. He was like Ben Stein old school. He was like Rush Limbaugh old school. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about any of that stuff. It was just trying to change heart and minds with his soul, with his heart. And I mean, it's a generational type of figure. I mean, we all got enjoyment, obviously, of watching the videos of him on campuses, and you can't look at Instagram and not see a Charlie Kirk reel come up of him on a campus somewhere across America, and he never treated anybody with disrespect. People screamed at him, people cursed him out, said horrific things to him, and he just sat there. And I mean, it's amazing. He was at Oxford University, a person that got a college education afterwards, but didn't have a college education. He was at Oxford speaking. That's amazing. That's America. He believed in America. I mean, I wish there was, maybe we needed to see the visual. Maybe that video needs to go around just like it did with John Kennedy.
I've been
And
having this debate with people, whether nobody should watch it or whether everybody should watch it. And I'm being contacted by people on both sides. Some people telling me, of course, I mean, I don't want to politicize any of this. People are working very hard to try to politicize this. I've been getting messages from people, as many of you know, if you listen, we have relationships in the government on both sides of the aisle, and not just the American government, all over the world. And people within government offices are trying to politicize this. But it's just, I kind of find that to be disgusting. And I think when you have someone one of one, we talk about Donald Trump being one of one. Charlie Kirk was certainly one of one. And you mentioned him going to Oxford. He was a brilliant guy, a brilliant guy. Obviously, he would go and debate on college campuses and things like that. And some people would say, oh, sure, well, they're students. But then he went, as you mentioned, to the Oxford Union. It's the most, or considered to be the most elite debating chamber in the world, and didn't just stand toe to toe with people who were, pushing back. He didn't just hold his ground. He won the crowd over because it was precision, it was brains, it was guts, but it was also charm. He always had that like twinkle in his eye as he was doing what he was doing. And he had this uncanny ability to take the most complicated political questions and strip them down to first principles. That was really what he was all about. It was free speech, it was liberty, it was the role of government. But by the way, personally, very important to me, his defense of Israel. He was one of, certainly a Zionist, one of the most pro-Israel conservative voices, and one of the few speaking to the youth of America. It chills me to my bones to think about that voice being gone. One of the people really stemming the tide. But he was able to make concepts simple without making them simplistic, and that is a true skill. That is a mind that you don't see come around very often.
I also think it's something built on love, and that was the infectious part. It's hard, when you're agreeing with somebody that's full of hate, and when somebody like him had nothing but love coming from their heart, and you could see him question even in his own career, is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? That love is what is infectious. That's, I think, the most jarring thing, that it's just like and obviously we're both skilled with words, but there are no words for something like this. There are no words, and I think people are hurting, and people are going to be hurting for a long time because of this. This isn't.
I think you said it very well. He came from love. And look, I'm a Jewish person. So I say this with the understanding of how transformative this can be. But that stemmed from his faith, right? He would talk about the way America is worth saving, how young people are worth reaching, and almost everything came from the truth of Christ. That was something that really mattered to him. But that filtered into how he interacted with people. All those things that came from his faith, that other people were made in the image of God, that you could argue with them, you could challenge them, but you couldn't just write people off. He would go to hostile campuses, and it was never owning the person at the microphone, and that he would tell people, hey, no, don't boo them. They have a legitimate question. Let's talk this out. It was this constant need for, whether it was his own or other people's, redemption and conversation and transformation. He didn't want to own people. He could have. With his brain, he really could have. And sometimes he was combative in getting there, but he wanted to convince them, which is way harder. It takes way more patience. It takes way more humility. And frankly, it takes way more love. And all of that came from his faith. And I think that that's something that we've lost in America to a large extent. And I say this again, as a Jew, I think that bringing the church back, and he as an example of how that can manifest, is one of the things that can save this country and the world.
Now, listen, I agree with you 100%. You know what it is? He was content. And when you're content and you know who you are, it doesn't matter what other people say or think. That's a gift that people get from God. I really believe that. It's something I got from Alcoholics Anonymous. I got a contentment that even if people disagree with me or whatever it is, it's okay. It's okay because I'm the one that needs to sleep at night. And even when you look at the Bill Maher interview, right? He was sitting there perfectly content. He wasn't drinking. He didn't do drugs, and he was just happy. And, as Bill was trying to sort of challenge him with certain questions, but not in a mean way by any means. He was fully content. He knew who he was. And there's something extremely contagious about that, infectious about that. And all he was doing was speaking at a college campus. I mean, think about that. He's 25, a 31-year-old man was speaking at a college campus, and obviously something that was planned out, and his life was just taken from his family, from America, from this earth. Listen, I haven't gone on X. I'm barely going on Truth right now because I don't want to read incendiary comments on either. I just don't want to partake in that right now. I don't believe that's something he would want people to partake in, because that was something he was totally against. And you'll see the comments, and eventually people will comment on it. And obviously, there's certain things that enrage me when you see certain titles. Like, I don't want to go there.
I'm trying not even to
You know
mention
what?
these
You know
things.
why I don't want to go there? Because that's where they want us to go. That's where they want us to go. And they want us to go to that place where we're looking at them screaming, oh, this is your fault, or this or that. And I'm not going to say that's not where our heads are, but at the moment, I don't think there's a utility in that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and unfortunately, I've seen many comments. I don't even need to go to social media. A lot of the groups that I'm in, activist groups or political groups, there are certain people who just decide this is the moment they want to start browbeating somebody that has, as you said, dedicated his life to trying to spread the good word and paid the ultimate price for it. And of course, on social media right now, you're already seeing people try to hijack this, try to blame the Jews for it, or whatever conspiracy they're trying to push. I'm not interested in interfacing with any of that. I would rather kind of sit quietly and just. I don't know him. I never met him. I never crossed paths with him. We were never in the same room at the same time. And yet I feel like this is a moment that needs to be mourned despite me not having a personal relationship with him, besides the fact that it feels like I have one. I feel like the mourning is not just for him, but for what he represented and for the country, because I don't totally know what's going to happen next. There is a lot of fear in me right now, and I'm trying not to let it win.
Like, what do you say? Obviously the president is lowered the flags at half mast. And, I did get to meet him. I got to meet Andrew Breitbart, and I was blessed with that. But there are some people you don't have to meet, and they leave that impact on your life. I never met Rush Limbaugh. I never met, certain people, but he just had it. And you knew it wasn't about the money or any of that stuff. He was just, you don't do what he did for the money. You do what he did to educate and to love and to do all those things.
I think it's incredibly well put, and I think that it's accurate. People love to find reasons why somebody did something. They did it for the money, they did it for the clout, they did it for the power. When he started, I think maybe it was Ted Cruz, I believe it was, who was telling a story about the first time he met Charlie. And I think Charlie was 18 years old. TPUSA was still kind of a glimmer in his eye. He hadn't really started establishing yet, but he'd already begun the process of meeting with people and talking to people. Already a very clever guy, already very fearless in conversation, already someone who thrived on debate and was willing to walk into hostile territory to do it. And everyone who met him was just blown away, just impressed with the
Yeah,
guy.
Rush
Again,
Limbaugh said he was going to be, Rush Limbaugh was, Laura Ingraham was sharing a video of Rush Limbaugh talking about him. And, when he met him when he was like 18, saying, he's going to be the next president or something, he'll be president one day.
yeah,
And, so that to me is the most important thing, is you celebrate a person's life and you celebrate all those things. You just have to. Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing is we were pre-recorded an episode today about the news, and I just said, there's no way we're releasing something that seems so trivial, even though it's not trivial at the moment, because the world is still going on. But it just felt so weird to publish or try to promote something on a day like today. I'm not promoting myself by any means. I'm not promoting the daily cheat sheet by any means. There are people that listen to us that I know they're in shock. I could see it in the people's feeds on True Social or whatever, where people are like too soon and, just they can't, they just needed to put their phones down. And I know there are a lot of people that would want to have put their phones down. And I don't know. It's so crazy to think about people that talk about prayer, that knock people with prayer and all that stuff. And I'm a big advocate for prayer. I'm a big believer in prayer. I believe in all that stuff. And I don't even know if what I'm saying makes any sense. That's like I'm in shock.
It does. I think not only does what you're saying make sense, I think if I can say something to our audience, I think to jump off of what Judah's talking about, listen to him, right? Take this moment, as tragic as it is, and it is, but seriously, step back from the noise. We're not releasing the episode that we already shot, that Judah and I did earlier today. We'll put it up another day. You can listen to it and you can still be informed and listen to our opinions on what's going on. But for today, step back from the anger, step back from the headlines, step away from your phone, step away from technology. Go hug your kids. Go call your parents. Go sit with your spouse. Go pray. Even if you don't pray, you believe in prayer. I'm not a guy who prays. I'll try it today. Pray. Just breathe, reflect, enjoy the fact that you're alive. Because if we've seen anything today, we've seen that life is fragile. I would say do not waste it scrolling or fighting battles that don't matter, arguing with people you don't even know. Invest this moment in love, faith, and the people that make your life worth living.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what he was. I think exactly what you described. You know, I the thing with prayer, I was taught fake it till you make it. And that was a big thing of and here's the thing I was taught is in life we have inciting incidents that happen to all of us, and today was an inciting incident that happened to for many of us. It's what you make of that inciting incident. Some people don't change, and some people do change. And I've had many inciting incidents in my life, especially getting sober, and walking into the unknown, a friend of mine always used to say, like in every great story, the hero walks into the unknown, not the known. And being the hero in your own story. And Charlie Kirk was the hero in his own story.
And then
He
a lot
walked,
of other people's stories.
yeah, he walked into the unknown. He walked into he walked into such unknown. Even though you could listen to Rush, or he set a course. He knew, there was nothing like what he was doing. There really wasn't. The thought of like talking to young people and getting into the hearts and minds of young people, that was not in anybody's, that was a thought, but that was never an action. He took what everybody was thinking for so long. Like, how do we get these people not to be Republicans, but to be Americans? Yes, God willing, they would vote a certain way, but that it was like a spiritual revolution for him. Yeah, I that's like the message. Like, that's like the thought I have today is like this inciting incident occurred. Take from it how you will and how you react. And I choose not to react with, at least today, at least at this moment, with how I want to react. Because anybody that listens to us knows how I normally or want to react. And I just refuse to allow hate to win today. And the only way hate wins is if we stoop to their level.
Yeah, if we succumb to it, if we turn on each other, if we forget the messages and the lessons that Charlie would have wanted us to learn, which again is about communication and dialogue and listening, things that we honestly have let slip away in a lot of parts of society. And when that existed, the world was simply a better place.
Yeah. And I don't know how much I'm not going to sleep tonight. I know that. I'll be watching the news all night. I know that. I'm going to do a show with Ben Stein when we're done with this pretty soon, and Peter Roth. And I know, I don't know. I just, I don't know what there is to, I don't know what there is to say. Really, I don't know what there is to say.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story from my own life that this makes me think of, and I'll kind of wrap this up with what I think the moral of all of this is at the moment, anyway. Okay, what we can take away from it, which is when my wife and I were first dating. It was early, one of our first dates, one of our 5 first dates. We're sitting in this little spot in Manhattan, nothing fancy, having some drinks. You can talk about anything instead of talking about the weather, movies, or whatever chit chat. Somehow got on the subject of near death experiences. And both of us had a lot of them. And we just went back and forth. She would tell one story. This is when I almost died in Taiwan. This is when I almost died in Africa. I would tell her stories. This is when I almost drove over a cliff. Just crazy stuff. Hours we sat going back and forth, and it wasn't weird. It wasn't morbid. It was like instant bonding. And the takeaway for me was when you look death in the eye, you recognize that you can't waste time on the trivial things. And we instantly understood that each other understood that life is fragile and that you've got to milk every drop of it while you can. And I knew before that, but that was the moment that solidified for me that this wasn't just another date. This wasn't just another girl. She got she got me, she got life, and it's been part of our foundation ever since. Living to the fullest with our eyes wide open, never taking anything for granted. When things like this happen, again, tragic, senseless, we have several options. We can, as you said, we can succumb to the fire, the rage, the desire to destroy, right? Which a lot of people feel right now. Or we can almost counterintuitively turn up the love. And I think if Charlie would have wanted anything, it's for us to do the latter. It's for us to learn to love even harder, to listen even better, to communicate even stronger, and to do what we can. I know he was very patriotic, so I want to say to make America great again, but it wasn't just that. It was for all humankind. And I think if we can take that and we can apply it, then at least his legacy won't have been for naught.
Listen, there are no answers. There really there's no answers. There's no resolve sometimes. And that's one of the hardest things. It's a couple of years ago on the 4th of July, I got a phone call telling me 4 in the morning that somebody I was very close to committed suicide. And obviously being in the addiction world, you see that, but you see that a lot. And but that one got me. That one got me more than anything. And there's never going to be a resolve. There's nothing it's like you're going to hear people say about more security or more whatever, or there should have been this or there should have been that. It's like, it's in God's time. It's not in our time. And that's how like when Ben talks to me about his age, and I always say it's in God's time. It's not in our time. You never know. You just never know. And that's why I think what you said is like, give that hug, give that text. That's a lesson I've learned. It's like, it takes a second to like send an extra text out to make sure somebody's okay. It takes a second to make a phone call. So no, phone call's not always a second, but it takes a second to send a text, to send messages, and just to make sure people are okay. So it's like, I think sometimes that's the most we could do. That's like the biggest thing I've learned in life is like just trying to send that extra message. You know what I mean? To know that we're not upset, that we're good, that all that type of stuff. It's like it takes a second, and it makes a person in a better mood, or it can make you in a better mood. And again, I don't know if anything I'm saying is making sense at all. I don't know. This one, this really hurts. This really hurts because he crossed aisles. He crossed everything. He wasn't a monolith. He wasn't if that's the right word. He wasn't he's just trying to help people navigate this crazy world. I mean, think about it. You go on college campuses, and I get what he was doing, like with arguing about not arguing, with debating. There's a big difference between arguing and debating. And he was trying to make this world a better place. How many people could say that? How many people could say that they did that many times over? That they tried to make this world a better place by having discourse. I mean, what a crazy, crazy concept. I mean, think about that. We've lost so much of our humanity that you need to go across college campuses and have speeches so we could gain our discourse back. That's a wild thought.
It is. And to answer your question, yes, what you're saying makes sense, despite the fact that nothing totally feels like it makes sense right now. I think we've said what we need to say. I think if anybody wants to talk to us, just get in touch with us. Get in touch with us on Truth Social or on any of the social media apps that you want to get in touch with us on. You can go to the dailycheatsheet.com and see all of our socials. We want to engage with you. If we can help, we want to help. We know a lot of people are feeling despair. We know a lot of people are feeling sorrow, helplessness. Don't wallow in that alone. I'm not going to tell anybody how to feel, but I don't want them to have to go through that sort of stuff on their own without having an outlet to talk to about it. So we're here, and it's kind of one of the things we pride ourselves on is that you can get in touch with us and we'll respond.
Yeah, and I don't know, just I pray for his family. I pray for I really pray for our country tonight. I mean, I really do. I mean, you look at President Trump. I'm looking at his stuff. There's no rhetoric. There's nothing other than lowering the flags for this that's all we could do. And to the people that listen or will listen, yeah. And the one thing is never be scared. I mean, can't be scared to speak our minds. And I don't know. It's crazy when you think about it. Like what a day is like. Like what could happen in a day. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to. I just feel so horrible and so. I mean, you look at President Trump, and I'm sure Charlie Kirk looked up to him like as a father figure type of person, and you see every picture is him smiling. Like you look at every picture, Mark Levin posted, every Don Jr. posted. It's like you were watching life, and
always with that twinkle, the twinkle I was talking about, it always was in his eye. Even when he was in the midst of the most heated debates, he always seemed like this is where I belong, this is where I'm meant to be. And my job is to try to bring you around to the truth.
He had that Norm Macdonald in him. He had that John Candy in him. Always that twinkle. You know what I mean? And it's like you couldn't, like, when you're watching the Instagram reels, you can't stop. You can't help yourself but look at the reels. I could tell you, I bypass most. And with him, it's just like instant contagion. And those are the memories and those are the thoughts. And I got to shake the other stuff out of your head. And that'll just, if you're going to watch anything tonight about Charlie Kirk, watch his Instagram reels. Watch him speaking at Oxford. Don't watch that last moment. Watch his best moments. And that's the biggest message I could say to people is don't doom scroll.
I say put the phone away. I say put it down, step away from it. Again, I'll just repeat it. Hug your kids. Spend time with your family. I want to extend our deepest sympathies and love out to Erica, to his wife, and to his two kids. What 3 years old, 1 year old. I got a 3-year-old myself. I can only imagine. And so, I hope that, as we say in the Jewish religion, may his memory be a blessing.
Or in Hebrew, Baruch Atayan Emet. And God bless you all. And just God bless you all. And God bless this country.